Okay, so last night was crazy. I am still trying to, I guess, comprehend what even happened. But long story short, I went to a Heilung concert and I was yelled at, spit upon, and people were throwing and splashing their drinks on me. And I was yelled to sit down because I was standing in a seated section. That's the short version. And I'm going to go into the long version and explain the whole events of everything. But before I do that, I do want to just say that the events that happened last night, I don't believe reflect the venue necessarily, reflect the band, or reflect the audience, or like all of the audience members or all of the fan base of Heilung. But this is what went down. So Heilung, if you don't know, Heilung is a experimental folk group that chants ancient Germanic runic language in what they consider to be a ritual, which it absolutely is. Absolutely, I love Heilung, and their music is amazing, and their performance is absolutely incredible. And I think it's amazing that they invite everybody to join in and be a part of this ritual and to bring that to the United States. And it's really important because that is my culture, that is my lineage. With that being said, I have partaken and participated in other rituals as well, that are very similar, drumming rituals, music, that are in the same vein and same nature. We went to the show and we got general admission tickets. Now I'm going to show you the ticket. It says, here we go. It says GAL, which stands for General Admission Lower Level. Mind you, I've been to plenty of shows where you're in a seated section, but everybody stands the whole time, especially at like metal shows, rock shows, concerts, other things like in the same exact tone and nature. People are going to stand the whole time because they're there to enjoy and to dance and to be a part of the experience, the performance. The show starts, and they start with the ceremony to start the ritual off, and it's beautiful. They sage the stage, and they point in the cardinal directions, and I'm not going to go into full detail, but it's amazing, and I was really tapped into it. Everybody stood up. As far as the people that I could see, I knew I was going to stand up and begin to enjoy the show and partake in the ritual. Everybody's standing, and then all of a sudden, in the middle of this ritual, a very angry voice starts yelling, "Sit down, sit down." And it kept going on, and it was just like so surprising. And then the ritual was starting to come to an end, and a lot of people started sitting down. And so I sat down because I thought that I missed something from Heilung of them telling us or expecting us to sit down. I thought I missed something as far as the cultural aspect. So I sat down in that moment. Until I realized that that wasn't the case because they started their first song when most people were still standing up. In the section in front of us was seated as well. They were all still standing up, and I can tell that Heilung didn't care. Mind you, I must also add, Heilung means healing. Heilung means cure in the language that it derives from. So the irony in being so hateful and angry at a ritual, a Heilung ritual, a healing ritual, is very contrary to the reason that we were all there. Anyway, I stood back up and I was so tapped in to watching and being a part. I could feel and just felt like I was a part of what was happening on stage. That I still heard the shouting. I didn't think that was relevant to me because it was off in a different area. And then I started feeling stuff being thrown at me. And that tapped me kind of back into the moment and realized that people were yelling at me, "Sit down, you're the only one standing up." And I looked, and I realized, wow. As far as the seated section in front of me was still standing, all of the people behind me, I was the only person that I could see that was still standing up, and they were yelling at me. But I couldn't sit, especially with all of that angry attitude. Nobody came up to me and asked me politely. I would expect the people directly behind me to say, "Hey, excuse me, can you please sit?" But no, nothing. In fact, nothing until the older man behind me got up into my ear and said, "I don't want to have to do this, but I'll put you down," or something along the lines of that. And it was just so jarring that was the first thing he said to me, you know? And I mean, perhaps I missed something. Maybe somebody saying something polite from 50 chairs away softly. Nobody got my attention and said anything nice to me at all. In fact, I started noticing when they were throwing things at me, and I had some sort of viscous liquid or something hit my arm and slowly slide down. I can only assume was spit. Disgusting. But I wasn't going to feed into their hateful energy. All I did in my own body was to project love, kindness, compassion, and focus on the show. And I had my hands up. I was just feeding into the energy that was on stage. Until, I was, and honestly, I was going to wait until security came over and said something, assuming that the whole idea for everybody to sit down was coming from a point of authority. That never happened. That never came. Until somebody did come up to me and say, "Hey, could you please sit down?" And I thought they were security, and I said, "Oh yeah, no problem." And then I heard somebody say something about like, "Oh, blah, 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 maybe security will come." And I was like, that wasn't even security. I'll still be polite. But I could feel the energy so much, I literally physically couldn't just sit down. Not at a show. I did not drive 2 hours and spend over $100 to sit down at a Heilung concert. That is bizarre to me. I left and I got our tickets upgraded, and I was able to sit we were able to go to the pit. So got our tickets upgraded to the pit, left everybody, and left that section. Super glad to leave that very hateful, disruptive section. But it just blows my mind. Oh, and I also want to note that when I did sit down, I tried to sit down and enjoy the show, but I couldn't see because of the people that were standing in front of me. That's not a problem because I just simply stood up and partook in the show. And if you can't stand for whatever reasons, I feel like the venue or somebody could have helped those people help relocate. I would have relocated. There was plenty of extra seating to accommodate. I think anybody would have done that. I would have done that. We could have helped them, but no, but that was never an option, apparently. It's like people jumped straight on the hate train, and it was like mob mentality. Everybody wanted to hate me because I was standing and enjoying this concert. Just to kind of like recap on things, I was really astounded that I was actually surrounded by grown men in Viking regalia who paid money to go to a Heilung concert to sit down for the show. Now, again, no offense if you can't sit down or if you just wanted to sit down and enjoy it. That's great. But again, I find it hard to believe that the hundreds of people behind me were there and just buckled under authority and sat down when this event, this ritual, it's not necessarily meant to be sat down for. Rituals like that, with the consistent drumming and the dancing, the point of that is to reach a state of consciousness due to the monaural drumming lasting for so long, which Heilung does an amazing job at, that you actually, start to ascend to different states of consciousness, being at a sober state. Mind you, I wasn't on drugs or, like partaking in the alcohol consumption, but the purpose of that experience was what I was there for, was why that was brought to the United States, to stomp your feet, repeatedly, to jump up and down, to be a part of that, to be moving the whole time, to reach those states of consciousness. From my understanding and my experiences, that's what that sort of ritual is for. I wish I could show footage, but I didn't take, that's the other thing. You guys know that I vlog. I'm a vlogger on YouTube. I took maybe 3 pictures before the concert started. I did not vlog. I did not do any of this because I didn't want electronics to get in the way of my experience. Not only, if you don't want to sit, if you don't want to stand, I get that. I think to some degree it is disrespectful to not, maybe you don't know what the ritual is about, and I get that. But to tell me to sit down during the ritual is outstanding. I think that is insane, because it's like going to somebody else's, party or ritual or something, and then telling them how to partake in their own ritual. That's what it felt like. It was very confusing. To wrap this up, I personally didn't want to be rude. I didn't want to get in anybody's view, but I had a feeling in me that most people wanted to stand and enjoy it, which is why I kept standing. I wanted people to kind of join, and then for those who needed better seating, for them to be accommodated. None of that happened, and people just complied with the angry voices, the angry, hateful voices. I don't comply to hatred, personally. I try not to. And so I sure as hell wasn't going to last night. I didn't want to be rude and block anybody's view. I wanted to be respectful, but at the same time, there was no way in hell I was going to sit down for that experience. That's not what I drove 2 hours for and paid over $100 to go do, is sit down at a ritual, a drumming, chanting ritual. So this is all my experience. I'm curious, super curious to know what you guys think about this. Was I wrong? Because perhaps I was. Or maybe the venue can accommodate. Not that anybody was wrong, but again, maybe the venue could accommodate better. And the people that planned, events like this can accommodate better to help, knowing that, their general admission seating, people are typically going to stand, or maybe have set rules. And when you buy the ticket, it says this is seating, you must sit down. I sure as hell wouldn't have bought those tickets if it said that. So throwing out some stuff out there, super curious to know what you guys think. I love you all. Thanks for watching. And I will definitely be back at a Heilung concert another time. I'm super excited. It was amazing. Definitely go check them out if you haven't yet. But otherwise, I love you all, and I'll see you later. Bye.